Good morning, everybody. I'm heading down to Wilmington to start a job where I'm changing out an old Goodman split system. We're upsizing it and adding a couple duck runs and a old garage. It's going to be a playroom, so should be a lot of fun. Stick around and enjoy the show. This is our old Goodman right here. We have our dryer vent, as you can tell. So clean your units every year. Power's cut off to it. I'm about to disconnect the line set. Have the whip disconnected down there. Take off the low voltage. Just cut the power to the air handler because that's going to be in service for one more day. I'm just going to get the new unit brazed in. The lines taped up in the attic where they can't communicate with the old system. So I can get up there tomorrow and start changing out that air handler. I had a few screws going into the bottom of the unit onto the platform. And check out the coupling. It's just like a piece of 7/8 that's been crushed down or something. It's wild. So Mike's going to come by and help me lift it off here and get the new one on there. Here's our dryer. Our copper is going to be ready. We're going to blow out these copper lines. Then I'm going to fit everything up. I'm going to put the dryer outside. I like to put them outside anyway. So just my preference. Don't hate on me, y'all. I have the Heil all set now. Line set sweated in. Some new armor flex on there. Need a little strap for that electrical up there. Besides that, it's looking pretty good. So tomorrow I'll be doing the air handler, getting that all set up and ready to go. I just picked up my Heil garb. There's the heater right there. Foam blocks for the air handler. Heading back over to the job so I can get that air handler ripped out. Might be a long day today, but hopefully my wife brings me lunch. It'll be a happy day. Guys, I am taking my air handler apart. Sorry for any wind noise. Got everything disconnected up here, listening to the podcast over here on my phone. Last Cowboys of HVAC podcast. About to carry some of the loose things down so I can get that other unit up here. I got my new unit up here. None of the guts are put back in it yet. I got the old box on it. The good thing is this flex is 16-inch, which is a little bit larger than I thought. Got to get the squared around all fitted up. Some of it is. I got to put a piece of metal up top. And then I insulate it. And we can get on to putting the guts back inside. Wiring the thing up. Putting the low voltage back on. We'll be back in business. I don't know if I'll get all that done today, but we're going to give it the old college try. Because I was in college for 1 year.
Guys, I'm using one of my favorite tools, which is the Hilmor bender. I've had this thing for a year or two now. I had a yellow jacket bender before, but one of the issues that I had was that the dies on the yellow jacket bender are plastic. And when you use them a whole lot, especially the 7/8 and 3/4, it tends to wallow out where it fits together with the rest of the bender, and they get real loose and they get stuck on the copper, and it's just kind of a pain in the butt. So now I have the Hilmor, as you can see here, has metal dies. I'm bending a section over the top of the air handler. It makes kind of a nice inverted trap. It kind of looks nice, and you don't have that line set running right in front of the floor of the air handler where it's going to get messed up. And as you see here, we're going to use a swager too. I swage the 3/4, and there's me screwing the head onto it. 3/4 and a 3/8 line up here when I'm making this kind of inverted trap above the unit with the copper. It works very well. It's probably one of the best tools I've ever, well, I won it as a door prize from East Coast, which was awesome because it's expensive, but it's definitely a super tool. I love using it. As you can see, there's an example of one of the fittings. You can't see it very well. And now I'm just doing my brazing. One of the problems with this particular air handler, I have a rag on the inside and I leave the top part of the door off. And when I'm sitting here brazing, especially the 3/8 line, it's so close to the door. That's why you see so many people burn the door. And typically I'm good enough I don't burn the door, but this time I actually got a little bit of a black mark on the edge there next to the hole. So I was very hackish. You have to forgive me. But it's definitely, it's really tight quarters. One of the interesting things about this job is since I did this part by myself, Mike actually helped me lift the unit on the outside of the house. But this one, my brother-in-law helped me lift the air handler chassis up there, which was good because it would have been very tough without him there. But once I got up there, his attic is so small that when the sun comes out, it really just bakes you. The highest temperature I've ever recorded in his attic, one time I had to get a piece of paper out of the old blower motor. It was making like a rat-tat-tat-tat-tat-tat sound. So I got the piece of paper out and I said, man, it is pretty toasty up here. So I put my thermometer up and it was 132 degrees in his attic. He has a hip roof on this house, so there's no vent in the ridge. There's no other kinds of ventilation that I could see. So he kept asking me what kind of ventilation he needed. I said any kind would be great, because it just boils as soon as you get up there and any sun's on the roof. Even if it's cooler outside, like 60 or 70 degrees. For example, when I was up here doing this work, outside it was around 70 degrees. But it literally got over 100 degrees in the attic just because of the way the attic's made up. You have dark shingles, you have a small attic. It's like being in an easy bake oven almost, except it does not feel happy like an easy bake oven feels. And as you can see, I've finished brazing. I have my nitrogen flowing outside. I have it set on. I don't have a regulator out there like a lot of guys using the, I think the VN regulator or the Uniweld regulator, which has a little ball that floats up to the top. Right now I just crack my little ball valves on my hose and just get enough so I can just barely hear it coming through. I hook it up and do it that way. I found that I tend to break regulators, so I just figured I just do it that way, and hopefully I don't waste too much nitrogen. I don't think I do. I would assume it's somewhere between like 3 and 5 psi of nitrogen. That's only my estimate, of course. I'm here doing my brazing, and if it's not hot enough in the attic already, I'm increasing the heat by brazing up here. It's only 1400 degrees, I guess.
My family came by to bring me lunch, and I actually started up the unit and everything, guys. I know I skipped a few steps, but I haven't started charging yet because we have 0 subcooling. Looks like we're going to need to add some charge to get it right, but it's starting to cool the house down, so that's nice because it was getting up near 80 inside. Our heat pump is running 122 on the low side. We have a TXV 244 with 82 degree saturation, 80 degree actual temperature, so just over a degree of subcooling. So we're going to have to add some charge. I'm gonna just do it tomorrow. Come back in the morning because it's been a long day today. So 41 degree saturation, 54, so 13 degrees of superheat, which is cool because we have a TXV. Everything's cooling down real nicely. We have a temperature split around 17 to 18 degrees, which falls right in line to where we should be. So everything's looking good. I'm just going to finalize it tomorrow. Hey guys, I'm coming home from the job I started today. I have my loyal associates with me. I don't know if they're going to show their heads or not. All I see is one half a head right here. We installed a new Heil 2.5 ton, there we go, 2.5 ton split system heat pump. I'm gonna finish charging it tomorrow. The airflow looks like it's pretty close to being what it's supposed to be, even though I'm gonna add a little bit more ductwork to the system. Judging from our temperature split and humidity inside, we look pretty good. And how I'm figuring that is there was a 55% relative humidity at the return.
Dad, look.
Look at what?
Look.
Yeah, you fit right in there. There's a 55% relative humidity at the return. Therefore, our temperature split would be...
Bring.
Look, it's Chris Greathouse. But I have to finish this first. Here, let's do this.
Bring.
Hello? What's happening? I was sitting here filming the last segment for my video after I left my job today, and now it's filming me talking to you on the phone. No, that's okay. It's kind of funny. That's why I like it. It's going to be on the end video too. I'm going to keep it. So we'll stop it right here and go to the actual conference. I have the system running at heat, 8.78 amps, 242 volts, 139 degrees on the hot gas line, which is plenty low enough not to be an issue. I'm going to let it run for a little while to warm up the house, and we're going to charge it up and cool it.
Of all the tools that I have to check airflow, I probably use the UEI DAFM3 the most. I've had it for several years. I remember doing the video where I first introduced it and showed how to use it when I was living at a house in Burgaw, North Carolina. And it was right after I moved from Curry, so that puts it in the 2011, 2012 era, which is about now 5 or 6 years ago. So I've been using this tool for a long time. It's very dependable. They have an updated model, the UEI DAFM4, I think, or the 3B. I think has a metal connection to the actual tool from the probe. But I just love this tool, and what I do is what you can see up here. I'm showing you the CFM that I got the first pass, is I take the grill area, total grill area, then multiply it by a K factor of 0.7, because typically it ranges from about 0.66 to 0.7, so I use 0.7 as a rule of thumb. You can look up the exact grill if you want to on the Hart and Cooley engineering data on workingjoesroundtable.com. I use a rule of thumb so I get a pretty close measurement. It takes about 30 seconds on this timed measurement, and what I'll do is I'll give about 7 seconds, 7.5 seconds for each row of fins. You see there's 4 rows of fins, so I try to keep it equally spaced, an equal amount of time all across the grill, so I can get a pretty even measurement. You see the first one was 928, I think. So if we come through on the second one, you'll see what kind of CFM we got, and you'll see that's really close to the first measurement, as long as you stick to that method.
Looking at our temperatures here, we got 113 with our heat strips on and heat pump. 62 degrees going in. This is kind of cool. So, not really even throughout the house, I would say. We still had to add one more return in that new room, which is their old garage, which is actually right there. I haven't done that yet, so we're gonna drop the static a little bit so our airflow will go up slightly. But we have just over 370 CFM per ton, which is acceptable, although that'll rise a little bit more. So we're about to charge it up in cooling once I warm it up in there a little bit more, because that's definitely not warm enough just yet. Actually had to go turn it from wet bulb to dry bulb because it was set wrong. It seemed kind of strange that it was 62 inside. It definitely didn't feel that way, so I went and checked. Our amperage now that our pressure is building up and heating, I'm turning into cooling. We're 171 on the discharge line, so nice and toasty. That'll actually come down once we charge it up a little bit. So let's get to doing that. You see our airflow was good to go, so we shall proceed. We just started up the cooling. We have 243, 123, 79 on liquid side, 52 on suction side. Our temperatures, we're about at 10 degrees right now. We're gonna let her roll for about 5 or 10 minutes. Then we're gonna put some charge in her. Now look at about 7.96, almost 8 amps. Have the amp probe on the setting to read from the top part of the clamp there, so it works really well. 261 at 108, we have 35 degrees saturation, so we have about 12 degrees of superheat, 13 degrees. We also have about 80 degree there, 87 here, so we're about 7 degrees of subcooling, so we're good to go there. Everything's looking good. We have 265 with an 87 degree saturation on the head pressure, and we are sitting around 75 degrees outside, so we're looking 12 or 13 over ambient. A little bit shy of the 20 degree marker, but it's a 14 sear, so we're probably supposed to be a little bit shy of that. So we're pretty close to that as well. Getting about 16 degrees split return to supply. We should be a little bit bigger, although we are not measuring it in the duct, and that attic is hot, so we're measuring at the end of the runs. So I'm sure we're pretty close actually once you add that little bit of duct loss. So everything looks pretty good, guys. About to wrap things up. 2 pounds and 25 ounces to get it where it needed to be. And I will see you guys on the next one.